What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Now, a little bit of a warning before we get into today's video. This one is a little bit different, and to be honest with you, if you are under the age of 18, this is probably not the video for you. I would suggest skipping this one and just clicking one of my other videos on my channel. The other day on my channel, as I'm sure many of you saw, I posted a video on r/BlackHoleRevenge. The thumbnail's on screen right now. If you haven't seen that one, you got to watch that one before you watch this. It's behind the I button at this moment. Now, I've got to say, although it was from r/BlackHoleRevenge, honestly, it wasn't the most mental revenge I've ever seen, and I asked you guys at the end if you wanted to see the very darkest revenge stories that I could find on the internet, and well, you did, and this is that video. Now, before we get into the first story, a big disclaimer, this video is definitely demonetized and probably age restricted. I'm not sure on that yet until I've uploaded it, but that's a little warning. The themes in this story are very serious. The stories are all completely true, based on fact. And yes, there is murder, there is suicide, there is stuff even crazier than that in this video. So if that sounds like something that's a little bit, too mature for you or too gruesome, then I would suggest not watching this one. But if you are still watching, without further ado, brace yourself and let's get into the first story. Child sees family murdered in World War II. Tracks killer down and befriends him. When separated, murders him in Indochina. Now this one, as you can see, is real and has been verified by the mods of this subreddit. During World War II, young Eliahu Itzkovitz saw his entire family murdered by a Romanian guard in the Chisinau ghetto, and later did much the same thing to said guard. All Itzkovitz knew of his nemesis was his face and last name, Stănescu. Yet he nursed his hatred for the better part of a decade, until fate finally recognized the makings of a good action movie. While serving in the Israeli army in 1953, Itzkovitz learned that Stănescu had joined the French Foreign Legion and was somewhere in Indochina. Realizing this was a shot at revenge, Itzkovitz went into full Batman mode. He arranged a transfer to the Israeli Navy, only to desert it in Italy. He made his way to Algeria, joined the Legion, and went through their insanely rigorous training. Yes, he trekked through half the world and joined the goddamn Foreign Legion based on nothing but a vague rumor that Stănescu was there. That's dedication. Having completed his training and gaining lots of handy murder skills in the process, Itzkovitz managed to get deployed in Vietnam, where he told his commanders that he should be stationed in Stănescu's unit because he had history with the man. The commanders failed to register the ominous thunderclap after those words, assumed they were friends, and accepted. And so Itzkovitz found himself sleeping in a tent next to the man who murdered his family. Eliahu must really care about his equipment. Every time I see him, he's outside my tent sharpening a knife, said Stănescu. Stănescu didn't recognize Itzkovitz, which the latter used to his advantage by becoming one of his most trusted comrades. Soon, they were laughing, bonding, and volunteering for patrols together. Finally, during an ambush by the Viet Minh forces one day, Itzkovitz's chance came. They were separated from the rest of their squads and took cover in the muds. Stănescu, Itzkovitz called out. I'm one of the Jews from Chisinau. It's not the best vengeful one-liner, but we imagine it got the point across. If it didn't, the fact that Itzkovitz's follow-up action was to empty his Tommy gun into Stănescu's chest definitely did. He thought speaking in bullets was better than a pun. We tend to agree. Stănescu's death was pinned on the enemy. Itzkovitz served the remainder of his Foreign Legion stint and returned to Israel, where he was immediately slapped with a desertion charge. However, upon learning his story, the court gave him the lightest possible repercussions they could get away with, which was only 1 year in prison. Well guys, now you can see from this first story of revenge that this video doesn't include typical revenge stories. These are the most hard-hitting, serious stories of revenge that I can find on the internet, and I hope you guys enjoy. Now this one is a legitimate story. It was verified by the mods about a year ago, and yeah, it's a crazy, crazy story. To be fair, if someone had done the same thing to my family, I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have been tempted to do the same thing this guy did here, but still, 10 years of biding your time, waiting to get revenge on this man, and then you hear that there might be a possibility by joining a different army, going through the horrible training regime just to get a chance to work under him and then eventually kill him. That is dedication. Wow. Now moving on to our second story. Now arguably guys, this one is even more dark than the first, and once again it has been verified by the mods as completely real, and there is, by the way, some attempted suicide at the end of this one, so just be warned. flash a bunch of young children, all under 13, the youngest being 3 years old, prepared to be scarred for life. So, just a disclaimer, I did not do the revenge. It was my mum's best friend who did it on myself and the other children's behalf. I was a child at the time, and the reason the whole thing was done. Jail time was served by 3 individuals due to the nature of this crime. I've left one individual out of the story as she did not do much and was underage at the time of the crime. This happened around 2011-2012, so some details may be hazy, and I do apologise for that. I don't condone what my mother's friend did, but I am grateful that she did this for myself and my siblings and the other children. So, around 2010 to 2012, my mother and stepfather at the time had been slowly getting worse in their relationship, to the point my mother feared for the lives of her children, me and 3 others. Now, my mum's best friend helped my mum out and said we could stay with her safely for however long it took to get her back on her feet. Cue the POS. The POS really was a piece of work. He was a friend of my mum's best friend at the time and was around quite a lot in the house. I'm not gonna lie and say that at the time he wasn't the coolest person any of me and the 3 others had met. And to be fair, he always gave us £5 whenever we asked to go to the shops. One day, my mum's best friend decided to have a birthday party for me and her own kid, hereby known as IK for Innocent Kids, as our birthdays were both in July and the weather was awesome. She invited the POS and his girlfriend at the time. It was relatively good fun until that night, when me, my 3 siblings, and the innocent kid were all starting to get tired and made our way upstairs to watch a horror film. It had been about an hour into the film when the POS came upstairs into the room, looked at all of us children, and decided it would be great to get his tiny thing out and whip it out in front of us all. As he looked at all of us, children, none above the age of 13. Both the innocent kid and my birthdays were ruined. He heard one of our parents coming up and then put it away and acted like a normal person again. It wasn't until 2 months later that any of us told our parents. Now time for the revenge. When my mum's best friend heard this news, she began to plot and plot and plot. Now, the day this had happened, I had left 5 minutes just before the revenge came to fruition, but this is what my mum's best friend and the police informed myself of while giving an interview. She had gotten the POS drunk as anything, and while he was drinking, she was still planning. My mum's best friend couldn't hold her liquor very well, and she knew the POS couldn't. She had me confirm what had happened, and then she made her move. My mum's best friend started boiling water as if she were going to make some tea. The POS was none the wiser, and a friend of my mum's best friend had turned up to really make this a party for him. While my mum's best friend was in the kitchen, her friend had begun to work her magic and had brought a glass bottle with her. My mum's best friend made sure to get her friend involved first. She came back into the room and offered POS a 3-way. POS agreed eagerly, and when he'd stripped himself completely naked, my mum's best friend and her friend tied him to her beds. My mum's best friend then immediately rammed the glass bottle up the POS's you-know-what. And according to the police and the neighbours, his screams could be heard across the junction beside her house. My mum's best friend then plugged her iron in and waited for it to heat up. While she did this, her friend got the now boiled water and poured it over the POS's face and body. My mum's best friend then used the iron on him. This is where the police arrived and arrested my mum's best friend and her friend. They both got jail time. My mum's best friend 6 years for attempted murder. Her friend, I don't quite recall. The innocent kid, my 3 siblings, and myself all testified against the POS for indecent exposure to minors, and my mum's best friend was given 3 years off her overall sentence, and her friend also a reduced sentence. That POS now has scars for life across one side of his face, and all over his left side from the iron and boiling water poured on him, as well as PTSD from what happened. The POS never did face a prison sentence for flashing us children, which is why I'm grateful for my mum's best friend for her own justice being brought upon him. Now, just a little edit here at the end, the POS did attempt to kill himself because of the trial and his injuries, along with his girlfriend breaking up with him, and failed. He was put into a psychiatric ward for 3 months and has subsequently been told he's no longer allowed in our town. And there you go, pretty incredible revenge there. Now, it's up to you to decide whether it was justified or not. In my opinion, you can't really do much worse things than what this POS did to those kids, and I'm so sorry to OP that you had to go through that, and potentially it scarred your entire life. I don't know, you know, it's not for me to even question that. But seriously, that is one of the worst things you could possibly do to any child, and to be fair, although it is pretty gruesome what your mum's best friend and her friend did, in my opinion, it's justified, because how can you do that to a kid? You know, if you do that sort of thing to a kid, you honestly deserve this to happen to you. Sounds harsh, but let me know down below, guys, if you agree or disagree with me. Wow. Crazy story once again, but we're not done yet. Now moving on to our third story, possibly the worst of all three, so be prepared. So then, cousin R-worded my big sister. Hope he enjoys his wheelchair. Okay, so this was around the time when I was about 10 to 11. I was with my mother, big sister, and little sister. We were visiting my Uncle Darren and Auntie Carol. I forgot the names of my two cousins who lived there, as it has been over 15 years now. Anyway, one was male, the other female. I loved helping Uncle Darren work on cars in his garage. He was a mechanic, and is the reason I love cars, and I often joined him during the week we visited. What I didn't know at the time though was that while I was at the garage with my uncle, my male cousin was taking advantage of my big sister. My male cousin is 17 and my big sister is 2 years older than me. I don't know what happened in detail, but I was told by my mum a while later. My male cousin forced my big sister to have sex with him. After I found that out, I lost my head and bolted up the stairs as police were called. I kicked the bedroom door off its hinges to see him sitting on his bed playing Tekken on his PS1 like nothing happened. I jumped from behind him and sank my teeth into his right arm. He threw me off, but I drew blood from him. He then tried to push me out of the room and I held onto his shirt with all my might. He swung me into a wall and I let go. He then tried to strangle me, so I kicked him down the stairs. Police came an hour later. I was told off for attacking my cousin, but I wasn't in too much trouble. He was arrested for statutory R-word, assault against a minor, and actual bodily harm. I had a huge bruise on my back from impact off the wall. Mum was quick to leave with me and my sisters. We haven't heard from Darren or Carol since, but I know that my male cousin couldn't walk after he was kicked down those stairs. His spine was damaged. He's stuck in a wheelchair for life. Our family has been fragmented ever since. And there we go. That is the end of that post. Another absolutely mental one. I mean, crazy. Again, let me know in the comments down below, guys. Do you think the revenge was justified? I'm not going to lie again. I think it was. In the last story, I said there wasn't much worse than what the POS could do. This trumps it, man. Seriously. I mean, what can you say? What can you say when something so terrible like that has been done by a person? Ugh, mental. And again, OP, in my opinion, you did what probably anyone would do in that situation. I'm surprised you didn't even go further, to be completely honest, because that is just unbelievable, guys. Comment down below, as I said, do you think he went too far, OP? Do you think he honestly didn't go far enough? It's up to you to decide, but I'll be interested to see what you guys think down below. Anyway, that is going to do it for this video. You guys wanted it. I hope you did enjoy it. Those three stories were absolutely mad. They were just mental. Another level of revenge. Now, before I go, guys, I do want to quickly say that I'm probably not going to be able to make too many more videos like this in the future for very obvious reasons. I mean, YouTube do not let you get away with many videos like this. And, you know, obviously this might be age restricted. I'm making no money off this video, to be completely transparent, as of course it's going to be demonetized. So for that reason, guys, I have created Redditor Uncensored. You may have heard about it a while back. And that is where I can post videos just like this one, covering really dark themes, controversial topics, and stuff like you've seen in this video, but way more regularly and without the fear of YouTube taking the video down, restricting the content, age restricting it, demonetizing it, stuff like that. So if that sounds interesting to you, it's on screen right now. I have actually just posted a new video on there today, an entitled Parents 1, but it's pretty NSFW, let's just say that. It's pretty 18+, so if that sounds something you might enjoy, check it out down here. I really appreciate it, guys. If you do, go and click on that and just give it a little look. It's probably the best way to support my channel, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, much appreciated. Give it a click. You might enjoy it. Who knows? If you enjoyed this video, you definitely will. And yeah, with that all being said, I will see you guys tomorrow with a more normal video.